My name is Grace Jin Drexel, and on October 10th, 2025, my father, Pastor Ezra Jin, was arrested by the Chinese authorities along with 27 other pastors and church leaders from Zion Church. 18 remain in prison today. This represents the largest crackdown of an independent Christian congregation in China since the Cultural Revolution, a sweep so brazen it has drawn international condemnation, including from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Many were seized in front of their young children, and my father and several older leaders suffer from health issues, and we fear for their well-being. I urge the Chinese government to release all these Zion members immediately and unconditionally. My father founded Zion Church in 2007 with the simple mission to remain faithful to the scripture and to serve families and communities. The church grew from just 2 families into China's largest urban house church with more than 1,500 members. Yet to understand why my father is in prison today, you must understand that China under Chairman Xi Jinping has embarked on a systematic campaign to achieve total state control over religious life beginning in 2016 with the so-called Sinicization campaign. This applies to Christians, Catholics, Uyghur Muslims, Tibetans, and other religious groups. We are all persecuted. In 2008, Zion Church became target because its leadership refused to install 23 facial recognition cameras inside its sanctuary. When they refused, the response was swift. Authorities harassed hundreds of members, threatening job loss, evictions, denial of children's education, and even the seizure of parents' retirement accounts. Many congregants suffered these consequences for maintaining their faith. On October 9th, 2018, hundreds of police seized the church building and confiscated assets. My father has been placed under an exit ban, separated from our family in the United States for over 7 years. Yet even repression cannot extinguish faith. When Zion Church lost its building, my father and the congregation developed a hybrid online-offline model, and beyond anyone's wildest imagination, when COVID hit in 2020 and all gatherings were forced to a halt, Zion Church's online model allowed our church gatherings to explode, launching 100 new church plants in 40 cities, and the church grew to its largest size ever, reaching 10,000 individuals daily. Starting in 2025, a new and more severe wave began, clearly coordinated at the national level. Earlier this year, several Zion Church gatherings in dozens of cities across China were disrupted during Sunday services. Over 150 pastors, elders, and church members have been taken into police station for harassment, threats, interrogation, and brief detention over the following months. The multi-city arrest on the weekend of October 2025 was a coordinated takedown that could only come from centralized government planning. These are also not isolated cases. In May, Pastor Gao Chenfu of Light of Zion Church was detained on fabricated charges. In December, authorities demolished the Yayang Church in Wenzhou. And last month, the Public Security Bureau detained another handful of leaders from a prominent house church, Early Rain Covenant Church. The Chinese government claims that this is about Sinicization, making religion more Chinese. Yet this is propaganda designed to obscure repression. Let me be clear. Chinese Christians have been Chinese for generations. We use Chinese Bibles translated by Chinese scholars. We sing indigenous hymns composed by Chinese believers. Our house churches were led by Chinese pastors. My father is Chinese. His congregation is Chinese. Sinicization in practice means removing crosses and replacing them with portraits of Xi Jinping and Mao Zedong. This means replacing hymns with propaganda songs. It means rewriting scripture to sermons to align with party ideology. It means facial recognition cameras monitoring who is worshiping. And it means the government selecting church leaders and dictating theology. What they actually mean is a complete subordination of religious life to Communist Party control. The partification of religion is more apt. Church leaders detained in recent months are not opposed to legitimate government authority. The churches seek to enrich society and live by the principle of rendering unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, but they cannot render unto Caesar what belongs to God alone. They ask only to be free from the party's control over sacred matters. Like faithful Christians everywhere, they hold firm, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Since I began advocating for my father, my family has experienced transnational repression. China's practice of threatening critics beyond its borders. My mother received threatening phone calls from individuals impersonating federal agents. Her tires were slashed inside her garage, and I've been watched and followed in Washington, D.C. My husband has been targeted by several hacking attempts. China wants the world to know that speaking out carries consequences, even in America. I am sometimes fearful, yet as a Christian, I believe we are called to courage, trusting that God stands with us. Similarly, I urge the leaders here today to continue to use your voice and influence in whatever sphere to speak the names of my father, Pastor Ezra Jin, and many other church leaders who have been unjustly imprisoned. Call for the Chinese government to release all Zion Church members immediately and unconditionally, along with other religious prisoners of conscience. Do not accept China's trampling of this universal human rights with silence. If left unchecked, Beijing's wave of repression will reverberate around the world. What is happening in China is not merely a domestic matter, but a global threat to religious freedom and human dignity. Authoritarian leaders from around the world will only be emboldened by our silence. As a Christian, I also draw strength from knowing that my God is a good God, and despite not knowing why this is happening, I believe that these darkest moments will be used for a larger purpose. As my father wrote in prison, God has indeed used his power to uphold us. I believe God is also testing us during this time like refining silver, painful but full of love.